Hey everyone, Retire on Dividends here. I'm back to give another update to my Dividend car account. For those of you that are new to the channel or new to this series, in summary, my wife and I bought a new car, a van to be, typical family van. And we were going to use the money, from her 401k to pay it off and just move on, right? But in the end, I decided to use that money and start a brokerage account, another brokerage account. And that brokerage account essentially would pay off the car each and every month and hopefully reinvest additional monies on top. So hopefully in the long run, we can make money on that money. So that's what this account is for. And it's grown to be, to help pay other bills as well, which we'll get into. But that's how it all started. So, and I started this in September of 2024, as you can see. And now today we're going to talk about February. All right. So where do we even begin? So I invest in, basically this was a Misti fund when it started. And then I decided to also add into the weeklies. So I'll start with the first column, weeklies, monthly income. So basically what this is, it's the income that I make from various funds that pay weekly. These are options income ETFs that have different strategies, but they pay out on a weekly basis. Now, these funds that I own, XDTE, RDTE, QDTE, these are all, the Round Hill funds. I own all three of those. And then I own all three Defiance funds, WDTE, QQQY, IWMY. And then I own YMAG and YMAX. As most of you know, they are weekly as well. And then I did add YBTC. They changed to weekly. Obviously, a lot of crypto exposure there. And then more crypto exposure with LFGY, which is a newer YieldMax fund. But they are a more diversified crypto fund. But again, they also pay weekly. And then GPTY came out, who also pays weekly. So these funds make up the majority of the account. They pay me every single Friday, and they help pay the bills. The allocation, you can see I'm top heavy on Round Hill, and that's just because they've been performing better than some of the other funds. It started out with Round Hill and Defiance, and then I've added these others, since. I need to definitely add more. You can see the bottom, like GPTY, LFGY. They need to be a higher percentage. Right now, crypto is, tanking. The market's tanking. Everything's down, as you can see. But this video that I'm recording, this, of course, is only as of the end of February. It doesn't take into consideration the more recent drops in March. Or at the time of this recording, who the heck knows? Or by the time you're watching this, who the heck knows what's going to happen with the market? The market's crazy right now. So again, just keep in mind, this is an as-at picture for as of the month of February. All right, so those are my weeklies. And for the month of February, those all paid me an amount of $1,217. All right, and that money, again, it helps pay the bills that come out, which we'll get into in a second. And then there's Misti. Misti, they paid $202 this month. Now, as far as shares of Misti, I still owned at that time 400. I recently got assigned, which I'll show you in a second too. I recently got assigned another 100. But at the time, in the month of February, I had 400 shares. I got paid $202. So my Misti distribution was $809, okay? And the total, I'm sorry, there's one more bucket too. And then there's options premium. Options premium total I made was $177. This is a newer column, right? Because I didn't trade options in the beginning, if we go back. But now, I'm basically doing something each month, and I'll show you what I'm doing. So for the month of February, actually, let's just go through all the options because we had some expiring February as well. So I had sold a TQQQ put that expired on February 28th. This had a strike price of 71. And actually, at the time, let's see what's at. It's at 70.08 now. At the time, at 228, it expired worthless. If I scroll here, which means what? This means basically I sold the put. I fronted 7,100. This money, by the way, was all margin. So I borrowed it interest free, because as it sits pending, you borrow it interest free. You don't pay anything. If I get it signed, then that's actually used as cash to buy that position. But since I did not get assigned, I used that money for that time period. And since it expired worthless, I never got charged a dime on it. So I collected, the $180 during that time frame, and that went to January. But it did expire in February, which means since it expired in February, I was able to start a new position on TQQQ, which I did. This one, I opened on the Thursday because I kind of knew I would have rolled this one if I had to, but it was so far out of the money, I felt comfortable just starting a new position. And I did that. I started a new position. I sold a put on TQQQ. Again, this is a new strategy for me. I'm selling a put on an index, a triple leverage index, 1 month out. Now, at the time, TQQQ was 76.79. And I sold a put at a $65 strike price. It was 15% out of the money. The market is getting killed right now. But luckily, I'm still 7% out of the money. However, it is very, very possible that this can go in the money this month. And I do understand that. And if that happens, I am willing to roll this out sooner than later to avoid assignment. Because the goal of this position is not to get assigned. The goal of this position is to make money on options on, borrowing from the margin that I won't get charged interest on, because it's going to be considered cash on hold. So right now it's 6,500. Again, because since the strike price was 65 times 100 shares is $6,500. That's being placed on hold. And if TQQQ gets to March 28th, end of this month, and it stays, kind of where it's at, this will expire worthless, and then I could start a new position just like I did before. However, if this position becomes in danger, then I need to make a decision to do a rolling order, which would mean buy to close this position and then sell to open another. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. But regardless, we're here to show you how much I made for the month of February in options. And I made $177 from that one trade. I did not trade Misti, and that's because I'm becoming Misti heavy. Misti's been tanking, and Misti, I got assigned this 26. I did sell put, I got 26. I had to buy 100 shares at $26, which, whatever, that's fine. I now own 500 shares of Misti for the month of March. So, Misti, if it does recover, I can sell calls on the current positions that I own. But if it doesn't recover, then I'll just collect the distribution on the positions that I have. But anyway, those are my options plays. And the TQQQ play, I will continue as long as I can. I do plan on adding UPRO, but I'm going to wait till things settle down because, to be honest, the market is pretty scary at the moment. It's been tanking, and I don't want my margin to be at risk. Definitely don't need a margin call in this account. This is, an income paying account. It also pays the bills, so I got to be careful of what I'm doing here. All right, so moving on. So since I got paid 1,217 from the weeklies, 809 from Misti, 177 from options, that's an income. Again, this is just an income account, which is essentially on autopilot minus the options. I got $2,202. All right. Now, let's look at the bills. So the car payment is $400. It's pretty simple. $400, just like that. And then we have other bills. So let's take a look at the other bills. So all of the bills coming out of this account, we have a car payment, $400. We have a gas bill, $148 for the month of February. We have the internet and phone, $223. We have parents' internet, $35 approximately. And then we have the electric bill, $193. So that's $1,000 in total bills. So that's how much comes out of the account, right? So if we go back to the summary tab, we have car payment 400, other bills 600. All right. So if you take the the 2,202, subtract out the $1,000 in bills, you get an extra money of 1177 and a reinvestment percentage of 53.45%. So luckily, I was able to reinvest 53% of the income that I did make. Of course, 47% went to bills, and that's okay. Last month I think I did a little better. Yeah, I reinvested 59%, and then it was higher in previous month. But keep in mind, I have added bills, before those previous months. So as long as I can keep my reinvestment percentage above 50, I think I'm okay. However, as you can see, look at the account balance drop. We did drop by $5,000, and it's only going to get worse because of the news of the tariffs, the fear of the market. So I have to be a little careful. So the reinvestment percentage, it could, very well be under 50%, but hopefully that will be a temporary thing until we can properly recover. My yield on my money shows to be 56%. So that simply takes F7, which is the total income, multiplies that by 12 and divides it by 47. Keep in mind the 47, that's more of a recent drop. So this yield is kind of being generous. My yield is probably actually a little less because the balance really was around 50 or so, mostly throughout the month. But whatever, it is what it is, 56% yield. And my Misti cost basis, not right now. Right now it's a little lower, but at the time was 30.21. Again, we talked about the car payment. The interest rate on the car payment, by the way, is 8.74%. So I did have to pay, but that's within the car payment, so that's understood. I did have to pay interest that's, again, embedded in the car payment of 145.34. So also have to keep that in mind as well. I also had to pay some margin interest because I am dipping in the margin. As you can see, I dipped a little more into the margin. So my margin interest rate is 24.90. My car loan balance did drop a little. We're at 19,579. And then we ended up actually after the recent payment, we're at 19,324. All right. So it's always a thought. What if we just pay off the car, right? What if we take some of that 47,000 and we pay off the car? Is there a benefit to that? Well, it kind of defeats the purpose of the account, right? Because the thinking is we can make more than 8.74%. We can at least double, triple, if quadruple that number. So again, it's more like a margin loan, like it's another loan technically that you're investing in the stock market. But it's there. It's always an option. Again, hopefully the market doesn't tank much more, but you could see how damaging it can be if the market tanks and you're using an account for an income generating account to pay bills. And again, this is going to be, the month of March could be really, really bad. And we could go probably to the $40,000 account balance range, right? And that could happen. So that being said, I have to consider, again, different, well, there's not much you could do because I'm not putting new money into this account. But I'm not going to add any more bills. The bills that are there. That's it. They're locked in. Down the road, maybe, but not in the immediate future. It is what it is. So approximately, again, you could see the bills do vary. The bills do vary. The previous month, January, was 1,100 and it went down to 1,000. Hopefully they get, even cheaper than that. But yeah, so that's the update really on the Dividend car account. And again, in a bull market, it works amazing. The market we've been in, it can get ugly. It still works, as you can see, right? We're a part of it. We went down $5,000, right? That's tough. That's a tough hit to take. And again, there's no sign of this recovering until this whole tariff crap, gets resolved, or maybe some better crypto news, or things like that. And again, but maybe that happened by the time you're watching this video. But again, keep in mind, just this is as of the end of February where we stand. And yes, I'm still okay doing the same exact strategy. I'm comfortable with it. Again, this is kind of on autopilot. In fact, I told my wife, if I died tomorrow, this account is pretty much, you don't have to do anything, right? It's going to pay certain bills and it's going to do it automatically. And eventually, since it's on autopilot too, the cash will eventually just pay off the margin as it goes, if she's not actively managing it and reinvesting the money. Because I'm taking that extra cash and I'm periodically buying, on the dip, the dip that never ends, of course. And but if I'm not doing that, all of that money is just going to go and pay off the margin, which is probably, to be honest, a smart move at the moment. So I'm probably better off not even touching this account and leaving it on autopilot. Of course, I have to keep an eye on that option, the TQQQ option, because I do not want to get assigned on that, because that's going to use margin as well. That's just there to make additional money. You can see I made 177 this past month. The month prior to that, what did it pay? It paid $180. So again, we'll see how this. It's a test, right? It's a new thing. I like it. It's a good strategy, and we'll see how it goes. And like I said, I'd love to add UPro, but I'm gonna wait until there's a little safer market to do that. But let me know what you guys think of this account. I know a lot of you do enjoy seeing this, just to get an update on the strategy and see how things are going. But like I said, the market, it's not pretty at the moment. So I do have to be a little careful. I'm not going to be in a rush to use, because since I'm using margin, the bills are getting paid out by margin, right? Anything I buy is getting paid out by margin. Any income that comes in just gets applied to the margin. So it's just a margin swap. So this 2202, it just goes right to the margin. It pays off the margin. But the bills, this 1,000, this 400, this 600, that gets paid by the margin. So it's in, it's out. It's in, it's out. It's a revolving door, and that's why I have to pay $24.90, because we are dipping into the margin. When the margin is paid off and I'm not using it, then I'll have zero in this column, obviously, and I'll just be paying with cash. But to me, there's no reason not to use the margin. I just have to use it responsibly. I have to use a low percentage to make sure I'm never in a position where I have to, pay back the margin sooner than later because I'm in a margin call. All right. And I know a lot of you are asking me for a video about margin, but that's a whole nother thing. And I promise someday. I'm on such a backlog with information and videos, but it'll happen eventually at some point. But anyway, I just wanted to get this video out for you guys. This is the Dividend car account, and I will continue this account. Oh yeah, quick update on the Dividend car. Seems to be like more of a lemon. It's actually in the shop right now, and this is the third time since we bought it. So we may actually have to get rid of it. And this Dividend car payment, unfortunately, it's probably going to go up, because we're going to have to, we got a really good deal on this car, but we got a really good deal probably because this is a piece of crap. So this payment, it's going to go up, and I just need to get over that. Stop being a cheap ass, and, it is what it is, 500, 600. I don't know, guys, but it's going to change very soon, and I have to be ready for that. Hopefully the market will be recovered by then as well, but we'll see. So that's the update. In case you guys were interested. All right, guys, as always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. This video is for fun and entertainment. So hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you're entertained. If not, we'll try again next month. Seriously, don't do what I do. This is super risky. I hope you guys understand that. It seems easy, right? It seems like it makes sense, but worst case scenario is the market just tumbles and tumbles and tumbles, and then we're screwed, right? You lose all the money. And then, these options ETFs, they don't recover one-to-one on the recovery. They're capped on the upside typically too. So you have to keep all of those things in mind. If things work greatly, then it's great. But when they don't, again, it can get really ugly. So that's why you need to do the proper research on how all of this would work before you even entertain such a crazy idea. And I'm a degenerate too. I'm a deep down degenerate. So I like, doing things like this. Getting a little down and dirty with the numbers here, but And obviously, I hope it works out. But when it doesn't, I have to have a strategy to make it work out. Anyway, guys, that's the update I got for the month of February. If you guys enjoy this video, please prove it via the like button. If you have questions or concerns, leave them down in the comments below. Outside of that, I got nothing. I'm going to end it there. But I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching the Dividend Car Series. I know I'm having a blast making it. I'm having a blast talking about it. Maybe not so much a blast of the market right now, but again, things will get better. And then this will just be in the past. This is what happens up, down, all around, right? You got to get used to it. All right. Again, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.